Oh, like it's one straight run, but I can edit it on my end, and then it also edits kind of like any blips in like audio and stuff like that. Yeah, my friend's like letting me use her software, so it's like fancy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna do my little intro. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Diapers and Degrees podcast. Today we're going to be talking with Sarah Doe. She is one of my good friends from A&M. She was the president of Pro-Life Aggies, the pro-life group at Texas A&M. She is a mom of 3. And she's going to be sharing her journey today about how she was a pregnant and parenting student, how she was facing an unplanned pregnancy with her now husband. And yeah, she's going to share her story with y'all. Really quick, Sarah, I'd like to say a short prayer before we get started.
Thank you.
Yeah. Heavenly Father, I just thank you for Sarah, Lord, and this time that we have together, God. I just pray that you bless this time, Lord, and that you reach who you want to reach with her story and with what our conversation today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, just share your story and like your unplanned pregnancy in college and just how you kind of navigated that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So let's take it all the way back to the beginning. Me and my now husband, Christian, we were dating, we were living together. We were not Christians. We didn't know the Lord. We met in a fraternity sorority. And so we were kind of living that life as just like college kids going with the flow. And then I was actually at a pro-life training because I had been accepted to a pro-life scholarship, and you have to attend a week-long training for that. And on the second to last night, or I guess it was the last night of training, him and I were going to go to a rave. So I was going to leave for the night and then go back to training to finish the last day. But I told him, before we go to this rave, I really want to take a pregnancy test. I didn't have any symptoms. I hadn't missed my period. But the whole week I had just been feeling what I know now as the Holy Spirit. But at the time I thought, what is this like kind of voice that's just speaking to me, telling me God won't give you anything you can't handle? And I was like, what does that mean? All week I was pondering, what does that mean? God won't give you anything you can't handle. God won't give you anything you can't handle. So I told him, I think I should take a pregnancy test. So took a pregnancy test on Friday. Positive. That was a huge shock. I am the type of person that just laughs when I am nervous. So I could not stop.
Girl, me too.
Yes, so I'm just laughing. I'm like, I'm pregnant, ha ha ha. No, I'm not kidding, ha ha ha. I promise, ha ha. Like literally rolling on the bed laughing. And so he's like, okay, this isn't funny, you know. But I'm like, no, I'm so serious. I'm really pregnant. So we, as involved as I was in pro-life work, I was like, oh my gosh, what is the first thing you do? Like, I'm not ready to run and, you know, tell our family and friends. Like, we have to figure this out first. And it was a Friday night, so pregnancy centers were closed. And we were in Houston, which at the time we were living in College Station to attend A&M. So we were just in Houston for the training because his family lived there. So I wasn't super familiar with the area, but I knew pregnant people take prenatal vitamins. So that night we went to H-E-B, we bought some prenatal vitamins, and we're like, wow, I mean, I guess we're adults now. Like, we are grown up.
Yeah.
So everything happened so fast. We skipped our classes on Monday. We stayed the weekend through in Houston. And then on Monday, instead of going back to College Station, we went and we got an ultrasound. And we found out that I was 7 weeks pregnant at that time. So we got to hear the heartbeat for the first time. And wow. I think that just was like a defining moment that makes it so real, because up until then you're like taking these vitamins, but you don't really feel super pregnant, and you're just like, this thing is gonna happen later. But then you see the heartbeat and it's like, oh wait, this has already happened. Like, this baby is already growing. And so I think in that moment, Amen. We just both were in love instantly. And so the pregnancy center helped sign me up for Medicaid because I didn't have any health insurance. And I found a doctor.
And sorry, real quickly, which pregnancy center did you go to?
I went to, so funny enough,
was it
as part of this week-long training that I'm at,
yeah.
every year they take their students to tour a pregnancy center. So like on Wednesday, that was So they just took us on Wednesday to go tour a pregnancy center. They took us to the Source for Women in Houston. And so while I'm at the training, I'm touring the pregnancy center, and I'm like, this is so cool. Like, I've never seen an ultrasound screen. I've never seen all these things. Like, look at their baby room. They've so many things. Like, pregnant ladies need to know about this. So I was like taking all these mental notes and saying, like, as soon as I get back to campus, I'm going to tell everybody about this. So that was Friday. I was like, oh my goodness. Oh, so God. Yes, Monday I went back there and was like, hello, it is me again for a different reason. And of course, they were so professional and so nice. They gave us spiritual counseling, and they brought us in together, kept us separate, and they had mentors for us. So that was really nice. But yeah, then we went back to A&M.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So then.
I was just.
No, you go ahead.
I thought you paused for a second. Sorry. Yeah. So I was just thinking. So they both took you and Christian. So they didn't just kind of have a little bit of counseling, advocacy for you, but also for Christian, for the man involved, with the pregnancy too, right?
Yeah. So I've heard of other pregnancy centers that do specific male on male counseling. This location at the time that we went there, they didn't have that. But they did counsel me individually, and then they counseled both of us together. So that was really nice. And then they offered us parenting classes that we didn't attend because we didn't live in Houston. So it would have been too hard to go back and forth. But they offer parenting classes that you can take and kind of earn like baby bucks or whatever they call it, and you trade that in for material assistance. That was definitely comforting, knowing that, oh my gosh, we have no money. Our family lives really far away, but there's some help. Yeah, so that was really good. That was in June. So I had just become president of Prolife Aggies the month before in May. I had just joined this Prolife scholarship. I was 2 weeks into my part-time job at Dillard's. So I was like, what is happening?
Wait, the one in College Station?
Yes. So
I love that.
I think Christian, he was taking summer school and he didn't have a job. So then he went and got a part-time job at Firehouse Subs because that's what you do, I guess. We just were kind of stumbling through it. And then that whole semester, I was president of Prolife Aggies. I was growing a baby. We were trying to plan our future. I will say one really cool thing is that I had always told Christian I would never accept a proposal if I was pregnant, because then I would feel like there's just losing because we're having a kid, so I guess so. But something really sweet is he had bought my engagement ring in April, and then was holding on to it, was planning to propose on my birthday in September, but we didn't quite make it there before I got pregnant. So when he proposed my birthday, I knew he had the ring before, so that made me feel a lot better. But
that's
then,
awesome.
We got engaged in September. And then I stepped down from presidency in December, and I had my daughter in February, the following year in 2019. And I took 5 weeks off school to just physically recover. And then I went back to school in March. I resumed pro-life activities with Pro-Life Aggies. My daughter came to class with me, which I don't think is standard. I think my professors were just really accommodating. But they said, yeah, whenever you need to bring her. Obviously, if she gets really fussy or upset, you can just step out. But they were super awesome. Shout out to the psychology professors at A&M because
that's
that was
awesome. Yeah.
Looking into daycares in the area, and they were $800 a month, and we were like, we can't do that.
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
So we just made opposite schedules. I'd go to class in the morning, he'd go in the afternoon, or I'd have Monday, Wednesday, he'd have Tuesday, Thursday, and we would just trade off with her because we didn't have any family that lived there. My family was 4.5 hours away. His was 2 hours away. But we didn't have, blood family, but we had family. We had Pro-Life Aggies. We had our church. We had our friends that stepped up in all those ways and, threw us a surprise baby shower and brought us meals after she was born and took notes for me for the classes that I missed and just sent it to me and were like, hey, here's what you missed. or would even like babysit for us if sometimes like our exams would fall at the same time. You even came, you babysat for us.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember, I think you were like, and you were even like still at home. Like you were just like, hey, can you just watch Ava for an hour while I do this assignment? And you were just in the other room, and I just like kept her downstairs and like watched her in her room just to like make sure, you know, that you could get your work done. And so like, oh, that was awesome. I remember even another girl from Pro-Life Aggies would watch her, like, because we had the babysitting program. And so, like, I think it was Lucille. I don't remember. I think that's her name, but yeah. Yeah.
It's really awesome. Just like all the ways that even as a college kid, you would think, like, how do I help my friend raise a baby? But, like, even ways like that you're like, let me just keep her out of your hair while you go take a shower, you go study. That was really, really helpful for sure.
Dang, I love that. Aw. Well, I have a question about Christian. Like, I remember one time we were talking about this, and you, like, how did he feel when he, like, y'all first found out?
He was just shocked. Just, I don't think I've ever seen him so shocked. He definitely never considered abortion. Like, we both were very, very pro-life. And I think that, especially coming from his culture, he's Vietnamese, I don't think he would have considered adoption either. So in the moment we found out, we both knew, like, we're a mom and dad now. We're going to raise a baby now.
Aww.
We just have to figure out how. So I remember when the night that we found out we were pregnant, he was super quiet at first. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if it's a girl or a boy. If it's a girl, I wonder if she's going to play sports. So I'm just like, thinking all these thoughts, and he's just sitting there, and I'm pretty sure he's got his hand on his head, and he's just like processing. And then I realized, like, oh, he's not like where I'm at. So I like slow down. I was like, hey, what are you thinking? And he's like, I just can't believe I'm gonna be a dad. Wait, I am a dad. And so hearing him like say that out loud, that even though he's, you know, never seen an ultrasound at this point, he never imagined his life to look like this, he could even recognize, like, no, I am already a dad. So that was really comforting for me to know right off the bat, like, we are in this together, which unfortunately is not everybody's experience. So I'm just grateful to have a partner that right from the moment was like, okay, we are a mom and a dad now. So let's do what we got to do. So it definitely took him a little longer to come around. But I think when he saw the heartbeat and he was like tearing up during it, that was the moment that I think it became really super real for him.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Another question I have, I guess, is how did having Ava, you know, in school, like, help you as a student, and then even like kind of just like as a general overall person, you know, because you were young.
For sure. So I was 20 when I got pregnant, and I was 21 when I had her. I was a junior when I got pregnant, and I was a senior when I had her. Definitely, it made me focus more on school, which I think a lot of people think that once you're pregnant and once you have a kid, like, you can't continue because your kid's going to take, you know, every waking second, which is true. I had to definitely make a lot of sacrifices, like social time with friends, sleep, travel, things like that. But also, I feel like prior to that, I was always a good, you know, A/B student, but I think it'd be easy for me to be like, oh, you know, I'm done. Just close my laptop. I'm going to bed. But then having your baby there, sleeping so peacefully and knowing, like, if I give up right now, I'm giving up on her. At least that's what I felt like. Like, there's nobody else who can do this for her but me. I am her mom, and I have to do it. So no matter how tired I was, or how hungry, or how, you know, bored of studying, or whatever it was, I knew, like, I have to keep going. And so she's definitely my motivation. Even after having a baby in college, I graduated one semester early. So I think that just even proves, you know, you have this.
Really? I didn't know that. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I always like to make fun of Christian because it took him 4 years and a semester. And I'm like, it took me 3 years and a semester. But it's just this running joke between us. Awesome. But yeah, I graduated one semester. And the cherry on top is the highest GPA I ever got in college was the semester that I had her. Even though I took 5 weeks off school, I had to like catch up. Just think, like, she was a huge. I know. So when we graduated, I'll have to share a photo. My
Yeah.
graduation count had like a family photo of the three of us, and it said, "I hope you know we did it all for you." And I think it's so true even to this day.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. I mean, when I was pregnant with Bella, like I got straight A's that semester. Like I did so good. And then, I mean, I was taking like hard sciences because I thought I wanted to, be a doctor. But like
Okay.
even when I was like taking those classes, like I was pushing myself more. I realized I was pushing myself more than like the average student does. And I'm not like
Yes.
saying that to shame anyone, but it's like your kid, like it brings out that internal motivation of like, I'm not just doing this for myself and my future, but like for their future as well.
Yes,
Because
for
as
sure.
like, that's what a parent does, is like they put, not like you don't want to sacrifice like your entire well-being, but like you choose
Yeah.
to make sacrifices so that they can have a great future. And so I love that. Like you understood that, like even at that young age, because unfortunately, like there's some parents even today who don't understand that. And it's like, come on, man, like it's for your little girl, it's for your little boy.
For sure. Or they feel like they have to choose, and so it's like as soon as they find
Mhm.
out they're pregnant, they just cancel all their classes and they're like, "Well, I'm not going to be able to finish my degree anyways." And I'm like, "That's
Yeah.
not true. It's not true. It'll be harder." But I feel like in other ways it's easier, like intrinsically, because like you said, you have to finish. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Nice. So I guess what would be something you would say to like a young mom who maybe is thinking about going back to school, or like maybe she just found out that she's pregnant, or is considering, abortion, somewhere other than Texas. Um, like what would you say to her?
I would definitely say to write out a list of your biggest fears. So, if your biggest fears are finances, or your biggest fears are failing out of school because you won't have a lot of sleep, or you won't have a babysitter, or maybe your biggest fears are being a single mom. I think writing out those fears and then writing out how you can overcome it. So, if your biggest fears are financial reasons. You're like, I don't even have a job. I still live at home. So what can you do to choose life and be able to overcome that? I think a lot of times it's easier said than done, but being able to identify the root reason of why, yep, she's coming in, the root
It's
reason of
okay.
why you're even considering abortion. Yes, baby. It's Ava. Oh, she said, Mama, do you want to come? Ava, do you want to come here with me? She said, Of course. Of course I do, Mama. Well, here she is.
Hey, Ava. Oh my gosh, her hair is so long now.
It is so long. Look at this. It's very
I
long.
know.
But I think
So beautiful.
I think when you write out those fears, you identify the root, and then you start identifying causes or like solutions, you realize how many resources are out there. So you think,
Mm-hmm.
I'll never finish school. And then you realize there's programs like Prolife has a free babysitting program, or they have pregnant and parenting student scholarship. So scholarship literally exists solely for people like you who are a pregnant and parenting student. Or the pregnancy centers will offer incentives to finish school. So if you're taking, at least 12 hours, then you qualify for free babysitting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so of course it's going to be different based on your area, but just
Mm-hmm.
seeing what is out there. Maybe, I have to take these parenting classes at the pregnancy center, but then they provide you with a brand new car seat. And so that's $200 that you didn't have to spend. And, you get free parenting classes. So I think
Mm-hmm.
definitely that's what I would say. It's just write a list, write out all your fears, write out all the bad things, all the negative things that you're feeling, because they're valid. Like all the scary and big feelings are valid, but they might not be true. So yeah, just keeping that in mind.
Dang, I love that. Wow. How are you, Ava?
Can you say hi? No.
There she is.
I know.
The baby Aggie that made it.
I know. And now she's big now. She's like almost 3.5.
Yeah. So how was graduation and like that whole process after, having a kid in college and then like graduating? Like because I think some people think that there's like no light at the end of the tunnel. Cause I mean, like me, I got pregnant like my freshman year. And so it was a day that I was longing for so long. And then it's finally here and it's like, whoa.
It's surreal.
We made it.
Yeah. I think graduation was definitely a lot of emotions because Christian and I got to graduate together at the same ceremony. So that already was special. And then Ava was there and she got to witness it. She was 10 months old, so she doesn't remember it, but we have all the photos and we remember it. I'm also the first person in my family, like my immediate family, to graduate college. So I think even just being a first generation college graduate, it's like all the things.
Yeah.
In the moment that you're like, I've been working for this for so long and it's here. I think it's just this breath of fresh air that no matter what happens from here on out, like we made it. Like I am a college educated mama, soon to be wife, going to be in the workforce. Yeah. And I feel like going forward, it's like, look, if I conquered all of that, I can conquer whatever is to come. Whatever the challenges are.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. Like sometimes, there's those moments where we like want to do like something ambitious or like have a big goal. And then like my sister reminds me, Victoria, you literally graduated with a child. Like,
yes.
Like God helped you through that. Like what else will he not, like we doubt ourselves so much. And so, yeah, I totally know what you mean. That's awesome.
I always say, I'm like, if there's something that I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. I remind myself, I have done way more with way less, especially with God. Like if God is calling you to that, he's going to make the way.
Exactly.
This person. Oh yeah, that's Miss Victoria.
Hi. I wanted to talk about a little bit, like your church. I remember we went to the same church. We like found out a couple months together. Yes. Oh my gosh. I forgot about that. Yeah. So talk a little bit about, how that, I guess you're like kind of like your walk with the Lord and like how he brought you to that. And
yeah. So I'm like, where does it start? In April of 2018, I was in I guess it starts even before that. Christian and I were living together in an apartment that was next door to a church. And I kept telling him, like, we should go to church together. And he's like, really? I don't know. It's not really, something I really want to do. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But then a couple weeks would go by and I'd be like, we have nothing to lose. Let's just try it. And he's like, no, I really don't want to go. I'll let you know if I change my mind. So I was like, okay, I'm definitely not going to go by myself. I'm not that kind of person. I just want to we're just walking and not knowing anybody.
Yeah.
So and we're literally next door. So I keep pointing at this church. Like, we should just try it. It's right there. We could literally. It's like, no. And then in April, I get into a really bad car accident and my car completely spins and it lands literally, Victoria, in the parking lot of that church that I was like, we need to go there. So, of course, all the people who were in the church come running out and they're...
Really?
Yes, one lady had witnessed it and then there was a bunch of them that heard it. So they all came out and they just stayed by our side. There was one lady in particular, her name's Amanda, and she's still a really good friend of mine today, but she came over, she checked on me, she's like, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm okay. And I kind of talked to the police, and then I called my mom, who lives in Corpus Christi, and I told her what happened, and my mom's like freaking out, and like, you don't have to drive here, I'm okay. And I'm just reassuring her over the phone. So Amanda hears this exchange, and after I get off the phone with my mom, Amanda says like, hey, I bet that's really hard on your mom to not be able to be here with you. And I know I'm not your mom, but I'm a mom and I will stay here for whatever you need as long as you need. And so I was like, oh, like, I feel like I could just let my guard down and have somebody there for me. Because Christian was at school and none of my friends lived in the area. So I was just there at this crash scene. I was injured. His car was totaled. Luckily it wasn't my fault, but I still was like, you know, you're just young. You're like, what if I get in trouble for something? I don't know. So
Yeah.
she asked me, can I pray over you? And nobody had ever in my entire life asked, you know, can I pray over you? So I just said, like, sure. She's like, is it okay if I like lay hands on you? So she just put her hand on my shoulder and prayed for me out loud together. And that was so powerful. And I remember thinking, wow, nobody's ever done that for me. And so when Christian showed up, she stayed the whole time to when they towed the car. She helped us get the stuff out. And then she said, well, hey, let me drive you to your apartment. And she said, you know, shameless plug, I lead this sort of, you know, Bible study for young adults at my house on Thursday nights. This was a Wednesday night. So she said, the last one of the semester is tomorrow. No pressure, but if you want to come, I'll have somebody give you a ride and you can come check it out. And so we're like, okay, I'll talk about it. We get in the apartment, and as soon as that door shuts, Christian's like, I know, we have to go. It's like, yes, you already know. We owe it to her at least. So we go in kind of, I think, a little bit more open-hearted because we just had this amazing experience with her. And I'm like, wow, she was a stranger who owed nothing to us, who knows nothing of us. And she was so willing to just help in any way. So we go to the Bible study that very next night, literally surrender to Jesus. Like, we met the Lord in her living room. I don't remember if he was crying, but I definitely was like bawling. And I'd never, ever in my life felt like the Lord's presence so strongly through strangers. Like, walking into that room, it felt like everyone was just like, hey, Sarah, you know, good to see you. Like, it felt like we've known each other forever. And some of those people in that room that night are like literally some of our greatest friends today. So that is amazing. From then on, obviously you don't meet the Lord and you just 100% are, you know, transformed. Like, it was definitely growing in faith and walking in faith and choosing Jesus, choosing to get baptized and make that public profession of faith. And then definitely having a ceremony, you know, try to center around the Lord and honor him in our marriage and in the way that we parent. And then I started working for Texas Right to Life, and that's a Christian organization. So that really helped, you know, leap start my faith in that. Also during college, we stayed a part of that Bible study that met Thursday nights. So that was amazing. And then when we graduated from A&M and moved to Houston, we joined a very similar Bible study with some other friends who had also gone to the same church in college.
Wait, really? Oh, yeah, because they have churches in like different areas, right?
They do, but these people, they're our friends now, Chelsea and Herman, they went to Fellowship Church also.
Okay.
And they were part of, you know, they call them home groups. So they were part of a different one. And our mutual friends were like, hey, you know, Chelsea and Herman live in Houston. Y'all live in Houston. Y'all should hang out. And then Chelsea and Herman told us, like, hey, we're trying to start a home group like we had in College Station. Do y'all want to join? So, of course, we're like, yes, we've been hungry for this.
That's
forever.
Awesome.
So we joined that, and we got plugged in with our local church here. It's like 7 minutes from our home. So that's amazing. We're super involved with our church. We're probably there like 3 times a week, which is crazy. Like 4 years ago, we wouldn't even step foot in church. But yeah, it's definitely been a huge journey. And I think God is just so good. And we can even see it reflected in our kids. You know, if we forget to pray before a meal, Ava's like, Mommy, don't eat yet. You have to pray to God. And so you lead us in prayer. And she's like, okay. And she's 3 years old and she can just take over and she feels randomly, you know, we're in the car and she's just like, Mommy, I just love Jesus so much. I'm like, oh, I just love Jesus so much too. And God is just so good. We see it full circle in our lives and our children's lives, even our families' lives, that the Lord has worked through us to minister to them has been the best part of our life.
Yes, I totally know what you mean. Like, because both my sister and I like went through unplanned pregnancies, and so, you know, that was hard on my parents. But like, even and then all of us being under one roof, like, you know, it gets challenging at times. But like, just seeing how God uses those things, like some of the moments that are like super hard in your life, like I can tell our family's a lot closer. Like, even my grandparents, and then, you know, they're going on this vacation together. I'm not there, but like, I can feel like God's moved in my dad's heart, my mom's heart, and like everyone. And like, yeah, the circumstances were not that great, but like, what, like God takes, what is that verse? It's like God uses everything for his good and for his glory. And so it's just so encouraging to hear, you talk about that. And like, it's just like that's why we need to hear about, these stories, because like it brings encouragement to the church. It brings encouragement to people who don't know Jesus, to women, who are struggling, and even in just their motherhood. And I'm so thankful for that. Yeah.
Me too. I definitely think it's also important to people who are listening who might not be Christian or maybe might be struggling with their faith, to recognize that we're not always going to get it right. Like, you could be a Christian for 50 years and you're still going to sin until the day you die. Like, we're still going to offend people. We're still going to say the wrong thing. We're still not going to always act like Jesus. But the point is, sanctification, to become more like him.
Yeah.
So that when we die, we will be like Jesus. But that's our goal going through life. And so I think a lot of people have been hurt by the church in the past. But I just ask that there can be grace and forgiveness and openness and open communication to move forward, and to not say, you know what I mean? I faced an unplanned pregnancy and my church turned me away. Like, my heart breaks for people who have experienced that, because that is so wrong. But knowing that those were humans that made that mistake, but that's not what the church is. That's not what Jesus is. So, whether you are wearing your sin on your belly, you had premarital sex, you got pregnant, you're still welcome. You're still loved. We still want to know you. We still want you to know.
Yeah, Jesus. Exactly. Praise God. I love that. Thanks for saying that. Well, I think that's all my questions, but do you have anything else you want to share in your heart? I feel like you kind of just did, but
I just poured it all out.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. No, I think that's all of it.
Yay. And Ava's right there. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for your time. And thank you, Ava, for making a special guest appearance. I totally appreciate it. Yeah, y'all. Sarah is an amazing mother. And like, just hearing her talk right now, it's like, I remember being in college with you, and like, we were able to walk, Bella was in Dallas, 3 hours away from me, but it was so refreshing and so comforting to know that I had another Aggie, another student, like walking alongside with me through the same thing. And like, I remember we met in the elevator and you were taking your baby, you were taking Ava to the meeting.
To the prolife Aggie's meeting. And I saw you looking at us, and I was like, oh, she's probably, thinking, oh, her baby's so cute. And then you came over and we're like, hey, like, I'm Victoria. How old is she? What's her name? And then you're like, oh, I'm just asking because I have a baby too. I was like, what? Really? And I'm like, you're like, the prolife Aggie's meeting? I was like, what are the odds that, like, we're both pregnant and parenting moms?
Yeah.
We both are in prolife Aggies. We both go to the same church.
I know.
Get baptized, like, literally together.
Bro,
like,
yes, all these things. See, God just knows. Like, he sees before we see those things, and so he knows. Like, he knows who's supposed to be in your life. And so,
and at the right timing too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Alrighty, girl. Well, I'm gonna hit stop recording.